Hello class, this is the second video that I am posting for the week, and this one is specifically going to be discussing the Discourse Community Analysis paper, the second major assignment of the semester. Okay, so the format and the requirements are going to be a little different this time. The first draft is the same. Again, you are producing your best 2 to 3 pages, double spaced. Okay, the final draft this time is going to be a little bit longer, 5 to 6 pages. Okay, in addition, 12-point Times New Roman font, header in the left-hand corner with the title centered right underneath the header. So these are the draft due dates. Okay, this is what's coming up. The first draft is going to be due on Sunday, March the 14th at 10 p.m. This is worth approximately 3.5% of your grade. The graded draft is Sunday, March the 28th at 10 p.m. and this is going to be worth 20% of your grade as well. Okay, so those are the requirements, and that is the draft due date. The purpose of this assignment is to help you more fully understand how discourse communities use language to function and accomplish their purposes and goals. So essentially what you are going to be doing is you are going to select a discourse community of your very own. Okay, you are the one that is selecting the community. This is your choice. So if you're not happy with your discourse community, you really don't have anybody to blame but yourself. Okay, so the description. Your goal is to compose an interesting description and insightful analysis of the language practices, spoken and written, of a discourse community of your own choosing. Okay, so as you are getting started, you need to identify a discourse community that interests or intrigues you. You may be a member of that discourse community. You may be an outsider. Okay, for our purposes, a discourse community could be any group of people who identify themselves as a group. Some possibilities include a church group, a fraternity or sorority, a club or team, a social organization, an academic or professional organization, etc. Okay, if you are uncertain whether a group is indeed a discourse community, you can use the readings from the textbook to see if you can find answers to the following questions. Okay, why does the group exist? What does the group do? What are its shared goals? How do group members communicate with one another? E.g. meetings, phone calls, email, text messages, newsletters, reports, evaluation forms, blogs, online bulletin boards, etc. Okay, so a lot of these questions actually correspond with each of Swales's 6 designations for what makes a discourse community. So each of these questions will correlate, and in some ways I think these questions might be easier to understand. Okay, what are the purposes of the group's communications? Share information, reinforce values, make money, improve performance, offer support, declare identity, okay, etc. All right, so every group has to have a clear purpose, if not more so. They need to have a number of clear purposes. Which of the above communications can be considered genres, i.e. textual responses to recurring situations that all group members recognize and understand? Okay, and finally, what kinds of specialized language lexemes do group members use in their conversations and in their written genres? A lot of what you're going to be doing in this essay, and a lot of what you need to think about, is those lexemes and the genres that are associated with your specific discourse community. So if you do not understand what lexemes and genres are, you need to make sure you understand those 2 aspects of what makes a discourse community as soon as possible, because that's what's really important. Because this essay is both a little bit longer and it is definitely going to be more academic. It's not that you can't use the first person, but you will be using the first person a lot less because, again, this essay is designed to be a lot more academic and a little bit more formal in nature. Once you have identified a discourse community to study, you will need to engage in the following research activities. Okay, all of the research that you are doing should be primary research. Okay, primary research is where you are actually interviewing someone. You must interview at least one person. That may also include some of the official publications that include newsletters, blogs, forums, IMs, texts, etc. Okay? So the first thing that you have to do is you have to observe and take detailed notes of members of the discourse community while they are engaged in a shared group activity. Okay, these observations are crucial. Now I realize that COVID is going to make observations much more difficult. Hell, the weather might actually make them more difficult too. But a lot of your focus has to be on actually making observations. So as you are pondering what your course of action is going to be as a member of this discourse community, or as a non-member, as an observer, as an outsider, you need to think about engaging with the shared group activity and take detailed notes of what you are actually seeing. What are they doing? What kinds of things do they say? What do they write? How do you know who is in and who is out? Okay? Collect anything people in that community read or write, i.e. their genres, official publications, newsletters, blogs, forums, IMs, texts, all that good stuff. Okay, you want to make sure that you identify the genres as clearly as possible. Okay, and you're also going to be thinking about the interview that you do with at least one member of this discourse community. Okay, how long have you been involved with this group? Why are you involved? These are just some of the questions that you may ask as you are starting to think about interviewing people. Okay, so, and also the really big thing that you need to do is as you are reading through this and as you are thinking about your discourse community, you need to make sure that you are answering that you are asking the right questions. Okay, and if you're not asking the right questions, then that's going to really hurt you. So if you're not sure about how to do interviews, or if you have questions about how to conduct interviews, that is something that I would strongly encourage you to email me about, and I will be happy to work with you on an individual basis on how to do that correctly and accurately. Okay? So as you are analyzing information and as you are starting to review the information, as you're starting to draft, you want to think about what catches your interest the most. What stands out to you about that community? What surprises you? Listed below are some additional questions that can help you dig more deeply for your analysis of the group. Are there conflicts with the discourse community? If so, about what? How do their genres address those conflicts? Which genres help the discourse community work toward their goals most effectively? Do some participants in the community have difficulty speaking or writing within it? Why? Who has authority in the discourse community? How is that authority established? How is authority demonstrated in written and oral language? Okay, and finally, there is the essay format. Okay, the introduction. In this section, you have two purposes. First, describe what a discourse community is in your own words. You will be practicing with paraphrasing, and this will be your second chance to show me how well you understand this important skill. Second, you will want to describe your individual discourse community. The order of this is up to you. Okay, but generally students put their general description of what a discourse community is in the first paragraph, and then the discourse community, your own discourse community, you're going to describe that in the second paragraph. The methodology section. Here you will tell me who you intend to interview, the kinds of questions you'll ask, and what you hope to learn. In addition, you may illustrate some of the words you'll be defining. Then the observation section. This is going to be the longest portion. Okay, the introduction must be 2 paragraphs. The methodology section will be 1 to 2 paragraphs. This will be, and then the observation again is 6+ paragraphs, because again, you're trying to get to 5 to 6 pages. You will explain some of the lexemes used in your discourse. Most importantly, you must tell me what you observed while at your discourse community. Remember to emphasize the way language is used, not necessarily the actions or behavior. Finally, highlight the most important quotes your interviewees said in their interviews. Do not transcribe, paraphrase what they said, and this is really important. You cannot do this. Do not focus paragraphs around your interviewees. Okay, this is something very specific that you cannot do. Okay, and then in the conclusion, what is the importance of this discourse community to you and to the world at large? Why is it important to study this particular discourse? Okay, So in general, that's how we do conclusions, is you are reviewing over the significance of something, not just summarizing the essay. The works cited page. This is a requirement for this essay, even if you only end up doing one interview. Okay, again, do not format your paragraphs around the people you are interviewing. Your paragraphs should be focused around either goals, observations, texts, and genres. Okay, there is going to be a lot that gets discussed over the course of the next few weeks when it comes to discourse communities. So not all of this may become clear right away, but my hope is that by the end of this process, you will not only have an understanding of your discourse community, but discourse communities in general and how these various communities use language to function. That is ultimately what this essay is about, is you are describing how language is used at a particular discourse community. Okay, so that is my general explanation of the assignment sheet. And that is really all I have to say about the assignment for right now. But again, I encourage you to ask a lot of questions as we go through this process. Okay, thank you very much and have a good week.